Hello, my friends. I know lots of you are getting ready for this exam called the PMP exam, and there's some misconceptions that you might have that I would like to correct. Perhaps you have no misconceptions, but you might just benefit from the revalidation of what you already know. So let's talk about the exam. Contrary to what I've heard in recent time, the exam is not always going to be made up of purely agile questions. You could get a dose of predictive. You could get predictive questions that consume a lot of your time. And these questions could be buried anywhere on this exam. They could be at the beginning, they could be in the middle, they could be just in spotty little places all over, they could be at the end. Whatever the case, you got to be ready to face those. Now, as someone who has taken over 6 PMI exams, I can tell you that there are some questions that are just, in my mind, red herrings, taking you off the path to your success. Because if you chase these verbose, long-winded questions, bombastic questions, you chase them down, you're going to run out of gas. And if you run out of gas, you're not going to be able to finish your exam. In other words, you will be counted out of the exam before you can get to the end of the questions in a sensible fashion. I had a student that had 40 questions left and 10 minutes remaining. Think about that. How do you answer 40 questions in 10 minutes? What she did was she looked at the answers, and any answer that did not align with my mindset mantras, she didn't choose. Those that aligned with my mindset mantra, she chose. And that's how she was able to finish the exam and get all above target. So I'm saying this to you to give you some food for thought. You're going to encounter questions that could take longer than normal. Are you really going to spend 5 minutes on that question, 2 minutes on? Think about it. If you spend 1.5 minutes on a question instead of spending 1 minute on the question, 30 minutes becomes 45 minutes. 1 hour becomes 1.5 hours. It has a huge ramification. 2 hours becomes 3 hours. And that's how people run out of time. So I need you to have a game plan for your exam. You got to rigidly and strictly stick to it. You know, I had a student who came out last week and he recommended, hey, I know you said 1 minute 15, Phil, but I'm giving myself 1 minute. I don't blame him, because if you don't do that, you find yourself lagging behind. And then you don't find yourself getting to the gimmies, because there are gimmies all over. Okay, so that's out of the way. Next thing I wanted to establish is you should be good at predictive, because your exam could be different from the other person. You know, the other person who said, oh, I got 90% agile. Even to be quite honest, I've weighed a lot of what I'm hearing. And I think people don't understand what pure agile versus predictive means. So you have a lot of people saying, I got so many agile. No, it's beginning to level out. Maybe at first, yes, but now it's beginning to level out. And I'm hearing what is geared towards a 50-50, to be perfectly honest. I got to let you know this, because there's still a lot of people favoring agile in this study, only to get a bunch of predictive or hybrid. You got to be aware of this. So you got to spend time in mastering your predictive stuff, your PMBOK guide. Go read it. You got to understand what those things are saying. You got to understand the 49 processes. Look for my free cheat sheet. Just Google Phil's PMP cheat sheet. It'll come up with a page. Download it. Make sure you know the 49. You got to know the 49. You got to know them inside out. Project management hasn't changed. And that's why very recently PMI brought out another publication that had process groups in it, because there's still a demand to know this stuff, and it's going to appear on your exam. So you got to get good with it. So know your 49 processes, know the major outputs from every process. Every process, with the exception of manage stakeholder engagement, monitor stakeholder engagement, monitor communications, but every other one of those processes, every one, the other 46, they all have a unique output. You got to know what that unique output is. I call it the whiffing factor, the what's in it for me in this process. You got to know that. You also need to know the tools and techniques that are most commonly used. Decomposition is already one, right? Parametric estimating, analogous, 3-point estimating, stuff like that, meetings, know the different types of meetings inside out. In fact, look for my video here on YouTube where I go over the entire PMP Guide 7th edition, models, methods, and artifacts. I go through every single one. It's only an hour and a half. Spend time, invest in your PMP success. Watch that video. I'm going to endeavor to put a link below. But I really want to arm you for success. And I think if you got a balanced view of predictive, agile, hybrid, and you are aware that many of the questions are long, many of the questions are not just agile, I think you'll have a better chance of success on this exam. But my advice, this is me, if I had the chance to talk to my past self, what I would have told my past self is exactly what I'm telling you. You gotta know your table of processes. I don't care whatever anyone else has told you. This is what I have seen after 17 years of teaching this material. I have found out that those who know, I'm not saying cram, those who know their processes inside out, they generally outperform those people who are loosey-goosey with processes. Those people who know, I didn't say cram, who know the tools of the trade of agile, predictive, the practices in Agile that we talk about from page 50 in the Agile Practice Guide down, the people who know this stuff, who understand why iterative? When you have Agile, why iterative? When you have Agile, why incremental? People who get down to that level, they're a step ahead because they're not just following the stuff like blind bats. They know why you would choose to do something with an iterative spin. And they know why you would do something with iteration-based Agile versus flow-based, or they know why you would use a flow-based approach such as Kanban. You got to get into the depths. Stop playing small, my friends. This stuff isn't even about PMP anymore. I'm beginning to take it personal because if you want to go out there and say, I'm a professional, and you're not able to distinguish between the core delivery methods, the core delivery approaches, and you're just cramming stuff and you don't even know why you do the things you do in scope management or why you do what you do in procurement, then I'm sorry. You're just doing this thing for money. You don't really have a heart. You don't care about the profession. You're not looking to make a difference. Because if you are, you would not be looking to do the least work. You'll be looking to do what will bring the greatest value, not only to your exam, but beyond the exam. How about your future self as a PM or as a PMO director, as a VP of the PMO? Don't you think you need to know this stuff? You should. So I want to encourage you. Learn the art of project management. Learn the art of Agile. Embrace this stuff. Let it sink in. Let it be more than just exam prep. And add value. And do it the right way. Okay? So for your exam, my friends, things to expect. I've already mentioned some of them. I need you to keep a beady eye. Let your eyes be peeled, right? Keep a beady eye on that clock. That clock is sick. That clock, you could look at the clock 1 minute and it's like you got 210 minutes left. The next thing you know, you only got 50. It's crazy. Time flies. Time flies on that test. There's some of us who are not as gifted as others. I am not the quickest reader. You give me a question to read, I could read it for 5 minutes. There's some people who could tear through a question in a minute. Those of us who are slower, we need to be ready either to ask PMI for mercy by showing them some underlying conditions that we've had. But in all seriousness, if you are not able to get additional time, like, you know, some folks, students have trained, they've gotten additional time because they've got ADHD or ADD or some condition. And I had a student who got 6 hours instead of 4, and he didn't even need it. I had a student who got 8 hours and didn't even need all 8. But if you have that as an out to get more time because you can actually get doctor's proof that you've got these conditions, the medical conditions, go for it. But if that's not you, and you're like me who is slow in reading, I can be very slow in reading questions. Part of it is the second guessing. You read and you're like, did I really read that? You got to train yourself. So I had to train myself out of that. And when I got into my exam subsequently, I was going really fast because I trained myself. I'm a naturally slow reader, but I trained myself to read quick and to think quick and to stop holding on to the crutches of, well, I can go back and change that question. No, stop it. Once you've decided, go. Make that your final answer. No second guessing. A lot of these things, you got to train yourself in them. All right. I hope this gave you some context, some advice, some guidance. I know some of you taking this PMP exam, you've not really been for a solid course. And to be quite honest, that is what is killing some of your efforts. You've not been for a solid PMP exam training course where you've actually heard from an expert what to look out for, what to do, the right ways of thinking. If that sounds like you, I want to invite you to my next training. It's happening very soon. You need to go on down to projectmanagementmasterclass.com. And when you go to projectmanagementmasterclass.com, you'll get to this page and you can see there's a countdown on this page because in the next few days, this is going to be my last class for 2022. Project Management Masterclass. Go on down there, hit the sign up button, sign up. This is not an investment to pass the exam. It's an investment to get your foot on the right track so that you can kill this thing, blow it up. When you get certified, you're going to have so much knowledge and context based on our discussions and based on us expanding on this stuff in the masterclass. All right. So again, if you're thinking of taking this exam and you do not have the right guidance, I want you to go on down to the website. I'm going to spell it out on the screen, projectmanagementmasterclass.com. This is where you can get the very best of real world. This is real world stuff. This is not all that hokey, oh, you can't ask questions because we've got a lot to cover. No. No. If you really truly mean business in learning the right way, bringing in real world questions, getting your questions answered, go on down to projectmanagementmasterclass.com, sign up for this course. You'll be extremely glad you did. I wish you all the best, my friends. Let me know if this helped you and let me know how you're doing in your PMP prep. Leave me a comment below. Bye for now.